What's up, boys? We got a good one for you today.
I'm ready.
He's ready. I'm ready. We're ready to go. Look at these two robots. So this one over here, it looks like two bicycle wheels that are kind of flimsy, but it's got something spinning in the middle. But the thing that's spinning, which I assume is the weapon, is not longer than the wheels, obviously, because then the spinny thing would hit the ground, and that wouldn't be good to just be expending energy hitting the ground, which would be useless. But the problem is that if you get this other guy, which is like the hug machine, he's got, two big arms sticking out. Not sure what his weapon is. We'll get in that a second. But when you've got something like this, the big hug machine, that spinny thing in the middle that is the weapon for bicycle eyes over here, it can't hit it. There's just nowhere it can really hit it at, unless it somehow comes from behind here, and then even then it's just kind of like dinking a pole. To dink the pole isn't very useful, right? And so the designs are like, I can dink the back of your pole. This guy says I can dink the back of your pole, which is good, but that's not going to do much. Then back over to Hydra over here, he's like, I'm going to hug you, bro. He's like, I'm going to hug you. That's his attack move. All I can really see here is that it's got two poles with a perpendicular pole. I mean, it can get dinked or doinked. That's about it. It's got a little ramp that leads up to it. And that's kind of all I see. And then maybe like some teeth off the front. Don't really see much else other than that. The winner has to be the one that can dink the pole, because the other one can't do anything other than push. That was my starting hypothesis. But then when you think about it, in these battle bots, what they've got on the edges here are these like grindy things and hammers. So I think Hydra here is designed to push people into the edges of the arena. That's his whole design. Now that guy looks pretty intense. It looks like he's pretty intense about this. Okay, so he is dinking the pole a little bit, but like with some floppy arms. It's got floppy arms, and I think that's mostly for control, the big floppy arms. I think if you're thinking like a bro here, I'm thinking the big floppy arms and the floppy wheels are like, okay, they're not made of metal, they're not made of anything rigid. You're not gonna break them, right? They're just flopping around. Yeah, so he's flopping around. Other guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna push you. That's all I can do. I can only push. And then he gets his pole dinked. He gets the pole dinked, and he's like, I'm going to push you for that. I'm pushing you. Huge hammer. Smash. And I think is his whole goal is like, I'm going to push you to the hammers. I'm going to push you into the rails, and that's all I can do. He's like, I can push. I can push so good. And he's like spinning his little pole dinker. This is where it starts to get really intense. Back up. Back up. You need to release. Back up. And so he tells him, you need to release. Back up. He says he can back up if he wants. He can back up if he wants, but he's telling him to back up, and I'm not sure if he understands that. They start telling him back up. They're like, back up. He says, nope, I don't need to back up. I don't need to. He can move if he wants. And the ref out here on a first name basis with him, Jake, back up. That's a warning. He says, fine, I'll back up if you just really, if you gotta be like that, gotta have the rules. Fine, I'll back up. So, sorry, the dog's squeaking the squeaky toy. He's still getting, he backs up for half a second and then starts pushing him again. Dog's going mad at this. Here comes the hammer, right? His whole plan, he's like, he can back up if he wants to, but he kind of can't. He kind of can't back up if he wants to because he's got the big pushy hug arms. And the official rule set is he can hold him into the corner for about 10 seconds before he has to back up. Jake seems to disagree with that sentiment, but it's in the rules. And so he's really just kind of being a bully. I think for that reason, Huge should get some points. And he's still got his little dink pole spinner in the center there going. Oh, so he keeps pushing him right up into the hammer and just absolutely clobbers him, bullying him around, but almost gets hammered himself. And he's like, yeah, you got away, but not for very long. I'm going to come get you. And now we finally get our first look at the pole dinker, which is spinning much slower because he got hammered on the head. And he seems very confident in his pusher. I think it worked perfectly, buddy. How do they decide who wins this? Well, turns out they just kind of like vote. They're just like, not really sure who won. They just pick somebody. And so I don't know. I mean, do you think it's the pole dinker or the hugger? I would think the pole dinker. He kind of got bullied, but he got a few dinks in.